Actually offer both in-person learning and virtual schooling options. But there is a third option out there, and that is homeschooling, often used interchangeably with online learning, but the two are very different. So let's bring in Ibrahim Firat with Firat Education to talk about the differences. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Sally.
So first, let's just get understanding out there about what is homeschooling and what is the virtual online learning that most of our local districts are rolling out. What are the main differences between the two?
Overall, there's one major difference between the two. In homeschooling, the parents act as full-time teachers or instructors. In virtual schooling, which is most school districts are looking to start with, online teachers manage the students' studies from afar within a structured curriculum, and parents just act as learning coaches or tutors, if you will. So in homeschooling, parents purchase or build the curriculum and serve as teachers, and they are also responsible to meet the state requirements for assessments. Whereas in virtual schooling, parents just use the curriculum created by an established virtual school and serve as learning coaches. In this case, public online schools or private schools even administer the state-required standardized testing.
And for homeschooling here in Texas, Ibrahim, it's pretty flexible, right? I mean, parents would basically just unenroll from the district and then follow a certain curriculum of their choice and maybe latch on to some of the homeschooling groups for support.
That is correct. There's still major, basic coursework that they still need to complete in order to graduate or move from one grade level to the other. But there are so many guides out there that will allow, no matter what grade level your child is in, you can still unenroll from your public school, do homeschooling for a year, and then transfer back into your public school if you want to next year.
And if you do choose the virtual option through your school district, Ibrahim, what are some of the pros and cons of doing that versus homeschooling?
So the biggest pro of virtual learning at home is the fact that you're flexible with your time, with your space, and with the requirements. So as long as you can manage time, manage your space well, you can still get most of the work done even earlier than you would if you were at school. So that's the biggest advantage. The con is that in access to technology or some of the resources that might be available to certain children, but then not available to you. That's a little bit tricky, and that's really what hurt many students when the schools shut down abruptly in March, and schools had to pivot, teachers had to pivot, and parents had to pivot. But this fall, we expect virtual schooling to be much more smooth, simply because schools, teachers, administrators have been more prepared for the virtual schooling option, and there will be more opportunities for students who weren't able to access some of the technology or the resources to have that access and to catch up with schoolwork.
Okay, and we're still waiting to see exactly if there is a certain time of day students are going to have to log on and be present. And there are still a lot of fine-tuning details that we have to work out and that we're all waiting to hear from our individual schools on. So Ibrahim Firat, thanks so much for coming on this morning. I'm sure we'll have you on a lot more in the coming days and weeks. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.